Welcome back to the Casual Athlete. I am Longy here with an absolute legend of the game. We have Fung's Fantasy Flukes, the man who came third in 2023. A bit of a rougher year last year, but you can't wipe out a top 10 finish. Rob, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Lonnie. Thanks for having me. Doing great. Good start to the year, so fairly happy so far.
Another top 10 finish coming for you, man?
Hopefully, that's a target.
Well, man, this is a pretty good team here. So you got a few different pod options, interesting roster. For today, guys, we're going to go through Rob's team, talk about the good, the bad, and then talk about the roster configuration for this week in particular. So loophole, there's a lot to talk about there, and some of the priorities on start sit options as well. So I'll throw to you, Rob, here first. What were you happiest with in round one with your side?
This may sound really strange, but I was quite happy with Hopgood. So that's a pretty low score for the price that I paid. But 70 minutes in a side that was decimated is pretty encouraging. So I was very happy with that. So if he plays 70, that's what Riles has got him down for. His historical average is about 64 over 60 minutes. So I was really kind of encouraged to see that. Obviously, would have loved a better score. With the Yows and the Hasses all popping off, it wasn't nice to see my kind of pod gun not do that well. But I was quite encouraged by the minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with
and
that.
obviously,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, just as a
and
para fan, yeah, he was the one guy sort of rocking up. Got the Tigers this week. Should have a good score. So I agree with that.
yeah. Apart from that, I think Munster looked pretty good. Obviously, he kind of went ballistic at the start and went a bit quiet towards the end. Didn't really kind of add on to his score. He was one I was kind of umming and ahhing about preseason, and I put him in like pretty much last minute. So I was quite happy he got his score, and I think he looks good. So happy with him, and also Garrick. Bit iffy performance, I'd say. Like he didn't look amazing. Got some junk points, but I think he's one that's quite solid in the centre wing fullback position. So quite happy to have him on board.
Yeah, man, didn't have to work that hard for that 55 points. Cam Munster, I will say too, trucked a few tackles, looked really solid. I wonder how much of that was Parramatta being pathetic versus Cam Munster being a force. But yeah, he looked really good in that game. In terms of concerns for you, is there anything that jumps out as a worry for your team?
Not really. I'm not really too panicked. Like I know everyone's jumping off Metcalf, and I think that he'll come good. He's got the kicks, he's got the goal kicks, tackling, etc. He can't get 24 every week. I just can't see it. But I guess he's a semi worry. And also, I've already done my trade for this week. I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun here, but I've sent White to obviously the band that everyone's getting this week, Humphreys. Not that I think White is actually a problem. Um, if it wasn't for Humphreys being so good, I would have just kept White. But I think that the upside in Humphreys is just too hard to ignore.
Nafahu White being sold instead of Metcalf is a big call, man. So I've heard a bit of news that Nat Butcher might be a while, Egan Butcher might be a while. They'll still get Radley and Lenu back, but White this week, he can come out and pump out a big score, right? Is there any worry there for you, or are you just thinking the ceiling is limited on him and Metcalf has a higher ceiling?
The thing that got me actually really disappointed on last week was that pack was decimated, and they didn't have,
Mm.
like you said, Radley finished early. They didn't have Butcher, yet he only got 48 minutes. So that was a real concern. I thought he was going to get some extra minutes, but he didn't. Um, the youngsters kind of got the minutes, so I'm thinking, what's the difference there? Will that happen again? Even though everyone else is out. So that's what I'm a bit worried about. I'm ignoring. I could switch it to Metcalf, but at this stage it's White that's gone for me.
Yeah, we had White in the sell/trap section as well of our videos. So I was really flagging more that he's a sell in 3 weeks' time. I think he makes some cash between now and then. But yeah, you're right. The ceiling's absolutely limited on him. In terms of how you've set up this team, talk us through it because you got Cam Munster in that loophole spot, Metcalf and Cole sitting outside the roster, and Iongi as well up against the Tigers in that emergency 7 spot. What are you thinking here?
It's quite a conservative setup at the moment because I think Hubno will get anywhere between say 30 to 40, so he's kind of guaranteed a score. Iongi scared me a little bit last week. He could have got 10 at one stage.
Hmm?
So if I feel a bit risky, I might switch Iongi with Hubner, but still keep Metcalf and Cole that loop there. So that will stay.
Mm.
It's whether I saw, yeah, Hubner or Iongi.
It's a big call. See, personally, if I was running this team, and this is why we all have our own fantasy side, right? I'd be looking at Yongi into the starting side, Tamale to center, Rob Toya out. I think against Penrith, he might struggle. And then I'd be playing probably Cole or Metcalf. I'm pretty confident about Cole over Hubner. I think Cole against the Roosters could absolutely unleash, but they're higher ceiling plays, probably lower base plays. That's like kind of how I like to play. I know I've seen your team before, and you often do take that option as well. Is there any chance that closer to game time you swap this up, or do you think you're going to be solid this week?
I haven't done that much research, so if I do a bit more research, I might swap it around. Like this isn't kind of set in stone at the moment.
Yeah.
I just kind of did it quite quickly and said, obviously Metcalf plays before Cole. That will be my loop, but this could switch around.
Yeah. Yeah. That order of play is really important as well. So anyone who is loopholing for the first time, Metcalf and Cole play back-to-back games, so you got to be on your game on Friday. Is there a minimum score you'd take from Metcalf before subbing Cole in?
My rule generally is about 40. So if they get about 40, I bank that. I think that's decent enough. So yeah, I'll probably take that if you got 40.
So a 35, would you think about that?
I'd probably roll the dice on 35. I know it's 35 points, but that's kind of my general rule of thumb, 40.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yep.
40 points. And your team doesn't have Payne Haas. A lot of people are freaking out. They're trying to find ways to get Payne Haas in. I noticed that you're not doing that. Talk us through your logic there, man.
He was just too expensive to start with, and I wanted to kind of distribute my funds. So everyone knows he's a great fantasy player. I was a little concerned about the talk about the minutes around what he would get. Obviously, he killed it, but he only played 50 minutes, so which was kind of encouraging to me as such. But at the same time, there is a thought maybe his new role in 50 minutes, he might go crazy every week. But I know I've already made my decision. There's no point ripping your team apart to try to chase someone. So if he goes ballistic, good on him and good on the owners that chose him.
Yep. Yep. In one more week, we get to see it, right? So up against Canberra, tougher forward pack. Can he replicate that, or does he come out and play 50 minutes and score 45 points instead? That's going to be the big question there. And then, are there any situations where I guess you're seeing anyone making any big mistakes with their fantasy team? Because I know you're pretty active around the forums. Like, what are you seeing out there?
It's the usual panicking and wanting to get someone. Haas is a great example. Yao is a great example. These people like, you should have started with them if you wanted these guns in the first place. Why rip your team apart now to try to get them? They're the usual mistakes that you see. And also people jumping onto cash cows that have low BEs. That's a classic one. So, Jack or Jeski, etc., trying to chase
Yeah,
points and
Shibasaki.
cash. Yep.
Yep.
They're not, I don't think they're bad buys. So they do have cash to make, but they're jumping off people that do have cash to make to go to another uncertain player. It's definitely a waste of a trade.
Yep, agree with that. And you don't have Purdue? Didn't start with them on purpose, or?
No, I did toy with the idea, but at the end I was just wanted to look for players with the best value, and I didn't know much about him. And it would have been a more balanced side if it done center. Obviously, it's very halves heavy at the moment, the side, but beginning of the year, it's okay to have a bit of an unbalanced side in terms of positions.
Yep.
You got plenty of trades, you can fix issues. If injuries come up, you can always kind of rectify it. So that's the time of the year to kind of go for the value and not worry so much about having the position cover.
Yep, agree with that.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider captaining someone who wasn't Cleary? So you got the Roosters matchup this week. It's pretty attractive. But next week, the week after that, who would you consider here, and why is it Terrell May?
My three options are Hopgood, Cleary, or Terrell May. They're the
Yeah.
kind of three. I guess with Hopgood, I need to see a bit more first. But I'm a bit of a boring player. I think I believe in the law of averages. So if you stick on Cleary every week, you'll get the average of what he ends up at the end of the year. So it's when you try to play Captain Roulette, it gets you in trouble. It can work out, obviously, but I'm not really a player that tries to switch to captain all the time. Pretty boring.
See, the more I think about it, the more I think, look, Cleary against the Roosters, right? Big attacking upside in that game. The more I ponder it for my own team, the more I think, maybe I go Terrell May against Parramatta. 65 minutes. He was fantastic. It's going to be some holes open up. Maybe he scores a try off Coruscant. And then Cleary, maybe he gets a rest. Maybe it goes another way for Penrith, and he has a quiet game like Jerome Hughes did last week. Like that, the more I think about it, the more I think that pod could be very fun. But the
Yep.
other option is that Cleary goes 100 plus, and there isn't really anyone else who has that 100 plus upside. So you could potentially just destroy yourself at the start of the year by not captaining Cleary. It is very tempting though. So I mean, yeah, I guess you're a
If
bit of a boring captainer, but is it completely insane if someone's at home and they go, you know what, I want to go Terrell May this week?
Not at all. Like he's proven that his floor is quite high, so it's not crazy at all. I it would not surprise me if he did outscore Cleary. It wouldn't be a shock, but I don't think it's going to happen. Um, so yeah, if you want to have fun, go for it. That's the way to go.
If you want to have fun, go for it. Fair play, fair play. And is there? I guess is there anything else you want to talk about with your team here? Like any other decisions you made or anything you're seeing out there?
Yeah, the one that kind of that I'm a bit iffy about that I really wanted at preseason was Hosking.
Hmm.
It was
Oh
always that
yeah.
kind of minutes around what will he play 80 if he's 80 minutes as a fantasy god. 65, not so great, but still pretty good. And so the first game he scored really well, obviously, but 65 minutes I was a bit kind of comforted that he only got 65 minutes.
Mhm.
But we'll see what he does this week. So he's anyone that at the moment went I should have got him because Humphreys I never really looked at, so I can't really claim that I was looking at him because I really wasn't. Um, so I have no regrets as such at this stage, which is good. It's unusual. Usually round one, there's always a bit of should have got him, should have got that player, but I don't really have that at the moment.
And then I've got to ask you a big question. You're a Newcastle fan. You've just blown the entire salary cap on Dylan Brown in real life. How do you feel about it?
I'm not a fan, especially last year when I got him in. Especially last year when I got him in fantasy, he wasn't great for me, so I've got a bad taste in my
Basing it
mouth
off
about
that.
Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
I'm not a big believer of spending that much money on one player and for that
Mm.
long as well. I don't. He's a good player, obviously a very good player, but will he turn the Knights around? I don't think so. I don't really see it. I'd rather that cash spreading amongst few good players rather than one supposedly elite player. Well, two. We've got two, right? We've got Ponga as well, but yeah,
Yeah, it's dangerous because you're running without a seven, basically. Like if it's him at seven, Sharp at six, Ponga at fullback, it's pretty dicey. I mean, look, it's been done to death. This analysis, everyone knows where everyone stands on Dylan Brown, but I had to ask you, man. As a Newcastle fan, though, you've snuck Marzu in, you've skipped
mm.
Kalen Ponga, Dylan Lucas, Kai Pierce Paul, like a bunch of options people were considering. Is there a reason you didn't jump on those guys?
I wanted Ponga. I really wanted Ponga, but I thought Marzi was better value.
Yep.
So, and Jaden Campbell, he's my number one pick. Like I picked him over Cleary, the number one pick this year. I think he's going to go ballistic. So Jaden Campbell's never really left my side. And Dylan Lucas, I could have actually got him. I could have got straight swapped Ruben Garrick for Dylan Lucas, but they would have left me with $0, like literally $0. And I don't
Yep.
like playing with no bank. Like I'm a player that likes having a bit of flexibility, and I had 90K
Okay.
to start with. Yeah, yeah. So I could have done that, but I chose to go against it, which it could come back to
Yeah.
bite me.
Well, you're running that 113K in the bank right now. Like, I was
Yep.
actually kind of having a look at your team and just thinking, oh, could you go safer to Hosking, like what you were talking before, or and you're a bit short of that. But if you had the cash, would you go safer to Hosking?
No, I think
No.
safe half is
All right.
quite a boring pick. He's got the dual position 80 minutes. I'm assuming he plays 80 minute on edge. He's about a
Yep.
45 to 50 average, I think. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of money to be made there. Um, good points. Hosking's a bit too risky for me.
And then last one, then, because safe you're saying is a hold. I'm getting that question a lot. A lot of people are asking about Tom Gilbert. Is he a buy this week? Can you get your take on that one?
Um, 50-50, I'd say. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think he's going to make, 59 tackles every week. He might play the minutes, but that was quite a standout score. I say 65. I was only expecting about 50-ish from him.
Mm.
So, he's a decent buy, but I wouldn't go out. If you had to do crazy things to your team to go get him, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. About 10 points of value in him. So
Yeah.
probably not enough to be destroying a team for. Anyway, Rob, cheers for jumping on, man. So, guys, Rob did come third a couple of years ago. So, the expert here, he gets more chaotic as the season goes on as well. I know you're like that. Like, you start the year really solid, and by the end of the year, you're captaining Tolu Kola and you're doing crazy stuff. But I reckon we got to finish on that. Favorite player from the year you came third? Who was it?
It was like the guy you mentioned, Tony Collar. Like he just,
Yeah.
I picked him and he went ballistic. I think one game he got 110, and that was when no one was jumping on board. So it's,
Yep.
I feel fantasy is really fun when it's a lowly owned player. Like when it's
Yeah.
Cleary and he gets 120, I have no feelings because everyone's got him. So you just like, doesn't matter. But it's when no one owns him and no one's really picked him out, that's when it's kind of like a good feeling. So
Yep.
even though he's terrible these days, like I still keep an eye out for him, but he's not
Yeah.
a fantasy relevant player these days. Like he's just, but 2023 he was amazing.
He copped that price drop this week, Caller. Like, so they won by $1 billion. He didn't do anything, but he's going to get down to, sort of 300K ish at some point. Might sneak in. I mean, probably won't sneak into fullback. That's the issue. Like, Lehigh Hopewadi's there as well. He seems to be preferred. Yeah, but if Kohler ever got back in, I mean, I'm just going to confirm this, yes or no. We're moving heaven and earth to get him, right?
100%. And it'll be cheap anyway, so don't have to do that much to get him.
Yeah. Well, that's the advice, guys. Keep an eye out for Tolu Kola at some point this year. Cheers for jumping on, Rob, and best of luck this week, man.
Pleasure. Thanks, Longy.